She's passionate about helping you become the best mama you can be and is pulling back the curtain on experts' advice for every area of our lives, from eating for wellness, the best advice for littles, fashion and style, and everything in between. Get ready to get real. This is Not Your Mama's Podcast with your host, Christina Francie.
Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Not Your Mama's Podcast. My name is Christina Francie, and today we have Peggy Tanous. She's a mother of two beautiful little girls and is also known for her work as When the Bough Breaks, a documentary about postpartum. And she was also on season 6 of The Real Housewives of Orange County. Peggy, it is such an honor to have you on. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Christina. And it's actually pronounced Tanous.
Okay, I was just about to say that. I'm like, I think I butchered it, and I meant
It's okay.
you before. I apologize on that.
No worries.
So, I kind of wanted to talk and explore about your journey with postpartum. I know it was a huge deal for you. And I looked up on the American Psychology Association, and, 1 in 7 women experience extreme postpartum depression. And it's sometimes not talked about. And I feel people can misunderstand really what it's about. Can you tell me a little bit more about your postpartum depression journey and how you got through it?
Absolutely. So you're right. So many people have it and don't know they have it. Thankfully, I think that by me doing the documentary When the Bough Breaks, as well as allowing Bravo to film it, I feel like it did open up the doors to a lot more people starting to really get out there and talk about it. And I feel like nowadays it's a lot more accepted and talked about than it was 8-10 years ago when I was talking about it. But it's something that unless you go through it, you don't really understand it. And I didn't even understand it when I was going through it. Mm-hmm. And it kind of took my mother-in-law and her husband and my husband to kind of like sit me down and almost do like an intervention with me, because I had no clue what I was going through or what was happening, but they could just see that I wasn't myself. Mm-hmm. So for me, I think I had a really easy pregnancy with my first daughter, London. Actually, with both my kids, I know people are going to hate me, but I had a really easy pregnancy as well as easy delivery. My doctor kept saying, you were made to have babies. So, but I'm like, no more than 2, 1 on each hand. It's fine. But anyway, so when I had London, when I was pregnant, I was super excited. Like I wanted kids since I was a teenager. I mean, I was always like, I want to get married and have kids by the time I'm 22. And my mom's like, no, wait till you're 30, which was really good advice. But yeah, when I had her, I was super excited to have a baby. Mm-hmm. But then all of a sudden I just remember they handed her to me and I was like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do with this baby? Yeah. And I think that's common. Everyone gets a little bit overwhelmed, but then it just didn't stop there. Like it was like, there was a disconnect and I felt like it never really kicked in the mm-hmm. excitement and the, of course I had exciting days but it just was different than what I thought. I thought, gosh, I've wanted kids since I was a teenager. I'm going to be so madly in love. Luckily for me, I never wanted to hurt her. It was more my internal emotions and me feeling like I couldn't handle it. It was too stressful. I wasn't a good mom. I wasn't doing anything right. Yeah. And then I never wanted to talk about it with people because then you feel like, oh, they're going to judge me or they're not going to think I'm a good mom. And I remember I hung out with this whole group of girls and we all had our babies at the same time, but they were younger moms than me and they seemed so happy and like they had everything together. And so I just remember like, oh God, I can't tell them because I'll look like I'm
judge me.
Yeah, or not even so much the judging. It was more like, well, there must be something wrong with me. Why aren't I feeling the way they do? And why aren't I excited to mm-hmm. do all these things? So I really, unfortunately, I went through probably the first almost a year of London's life without even realizing what was going on. Okay. And that's when my mother-in-law was like, okay, we need to sit you down. You're getting angry when you feed her. I remember one day I threw the bottle and it just wasn't the way I should be. So they just, talked to me about it and they're like, we're here for you. We love you. And anything, my husband was so sweet, like anything he would do, it wasn't enough. I would say, I need a break. And I had a girl that came in twice a week and all day so that I could go do errands, go to lunches with my girlfriends, do my nails, whatever. And that wasn't enough. So no matter what I did, it still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And so I started, my mother-in-law said, she's a naturopath, or she was, and she said, well, let's start you on some natural remedies. And so I started on SAMI, and that was pretty good for a while. And then I discovered 5-HTP, and that was like life-changing for me.
What is that? Is that just like a supplement, like a pill capsule?
Yep. It's a supplement you take over the counter. It's all natural. So it's not a prescription. I used to use the GNC brand. I don't know if they still have GNC or if they still make it, but it was a really good brand. And I think I only took one a day. Obviously check with your doctor, but that really started to get me out of my funk. And then when I was pregnant with Capri, I remember talking to my doctor and just saying, I don't want to go through this again. I don't want to have a newborn and not feel excited or not, be nurturing and that kind of thing. So she said it was fine for me to take. So I took it my whole pregnancy.
Okay. And did it help, or what do you?
Oh yeah. And so it was a whole different experience when I had Capri. I mean, it was sad because I like feel guilty, it's like, oh my God, I feel bad that I was great to one kid and I don't feel so great like I was with the other. But when I remember when Capri was born, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't wait to hold her. And I was happy when I was breastfeeding her, and I didn't have those angry feelings. I didn't have the disconnect that I felt when I had London.
Yeah, no, that is, and kind of going back to what you said about, your pregnancy was easy. I mean, they say that even if your pregnancy is easy, you will still experience like the postpartum. And, some of the signs and symptoms I found are like, loss of pleasure and interest in things, eating much more or much less than you usually do, racing scary thoughts, inability to sleep, sleeping too much, difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, disinterest in the baby, family, and friends, and difficulty concentrating, remembering details, or making decisions. And also, thoughts of hurting yourself or the baby. Did you ever have any thoughts of like hurting yourself? I know you said you didn't about the baby, but.
Yeah, if you watch the documentary and if you happen to catch the episode on Bravo, I did talk about one day, I was just so beside myself. And it's kind of like you said, the racing thoughts. And they don't even make sense, but it's like a crazy person. I just felt like a crazy person. And I just remember thinking, you know what? I probably am not even a good mom, and my daughter deserves better, and my family doesn't need me. And so I was like, I should just go upstairs and, like we have, a family firearm. I'm like, I should just go upstairs and like out myself. And
oh my goodness, I have such a heavy heart because I mean, I know when I first had Cole, like I experienced a little bit of blues. I don't think it was too extreme. It like went away in a few weeks. I was like crying. I'm like, I can't even go outside, I was sad, like to leave the house, and it took a lot for me to do it. And, but I've done like things and I think about, and I feel like so guilty, like, especially with Caleb, like, oh, I don't know. I know exactly what you mean about having a heavy heart and feeling that mom guilt.
Well, because the first one is your first baby, and they don't teach you, like, I actually feel like there needs to be courses in school where it prepares you for motherhood. They have, I don't know, they used to have home ec classes. So they should have like beyond that, like how to raise a baby classes. But so with your first, I feel like you're kind of experimenting with them. And then there's like a lot of guilt with your second, because you're like, oh God, I'm such a better mom with my second,
Exactly.
Or it could go the other way and you're like a worse mom because you're like, I can't handle two.
Yeah, no, but I remember when I first met you, this one thing stuck with me that you said, like, you really don't need a lot when you have the baby. Like you just pretty much need like the little basket to carry them around and stuff. And like that has always stuck with me, because with my first one, I had all this shit. And then I realized I'm only using like one or two things. And, you really don't need that much stuff. So I remember it's like, that always stuck with me. And I remember telling my husband, I was like, Peggy was right. You really don't need that much stuff.
Oh, good. I'm glad that stuck with you. Yeah. I tell, expecting moms all the time now. I'm like, you get caught up in like, oh, I want to have the newest, best stroller, and I want to have this and I want to have that and all the gadgets. we had everything with London. And by the time we got to Capri, well, luckily we had 2 girls, just like you have the 2 boys. You don't have to, get all new stuff because it can still, pink, it stays pink. You don't have to go get the blue one. But you just don't need all that stuff. It's like, and especially nowadays, like with the way of our world, I'm like, minimalistic life is better because we don't need more packaging and more plastic and more stuff in our oceans. And you know what I mean? It's like, just keep it simple.
Exactly. I agree. I think that is great advice. And then, so I also wanted to touch base. I think you have an amazing DVD video, total body workout with your toddler. What inspired you to do that? I think it's perfect. It seems like super fun to do with your toddler, bonding time. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So that came about when we were filming Housewives. You had mentioned I was on Housewives season 6. I did a little bit of season 7 and then I quit. I had actually signed a 5-year contract, but because I was so anxiety ridden and I wasn't in the depths of my postpartum, but I still definitely had a lot of depression and anxiety. Mm-hmm. It was too much. I felt like it would be harmful for my family, not harmful, but like emotionally could be harmful for my family if I stayed on there.
Yeah.
So I was lucky that we were able to, work with our attorney and their attorney and get out of the contract. But when I was filming season 6, I had my trainer come over one day and we were in the backyard, and London, she was, they were so little when I was on the show. I think she was 3. And so she kept jumping on my back and she kept trying to like get in on the workout. And I was like, you can't do this. Like the cameras are rolling and we're trying to film this. And so then after we finally got her, to go away. And then afterwards I was like, oh my God, I should come out with a workout where you're actually using your toddler. And so the beauty of it is it's a 30-minute total body workout. It works out every body part. It's, 30 minutes can do everything. At the end, I do another 15, 20 minutes of yoga with the kids. Okay. And then what's great about it is it's intended for babies to probably, if you have small kids like I do, I think London did it till she was like 5 with me. So I'd say once they turn 6 months and you can put them in a carrier, strap that carrier on and put the baby in and do the workout. And your baby is your weight and resistance.
Yeah. That is so genius.
Yeah.
And it's like a bonding. It's like bonding with your child as well.
Absolutely. Bonding with them. It teaches them the importance of fitness at an early age. They, they're learning that they should be active. They should be healthy. And then when they're older and they, you're not going to be carrying them obviously or holding them, they can just stand next to you and do it. And I have so many fans and people that, they're like, oh, I want to order your DVD, but I don't have a kid. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Just strap on some weights. You can put on some ankle weights and some wrist weights and just do that for your resistance.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, it's available on Amazon and it's Peggy Tanous Total Body Workout with your toddler.
Yeah, I'll have the links down below so you guys can check it out. I highly recommend it. It's super fun and you're engaged with your children or your babies, and you could definitely get a full body workout because we need to fill our cups up. It's important to make sure that we are working out, we are taking care of ourselves, because we can get totally lost in the minutia of everything and taking care of others. I know that was one thing for me is, trying to step my game up and like taking care of me, like I have my husband, I have my kids, and you get really lost in that. What is something that you've done to kind of help always make your cup fill?
Well, I would say, especially for moms, when you're a new mom, the most important thing, there's a couple of most important things, but one is getting out. Like you were saying that some days it's just, you felt like you couldn't even get out of the house. And that's how I started feeling. And it starts to close in on you like a black hole. Mm-hmm. So for me, the biggest thing was get outside every day with my kid and, whether strolling them in the stroller or taking them to the park. But then beyond that is getting out by yourself, whether you can leave your children with, in-laws or your husband, friends, if you have a sitter, a nanny live-in, whatever the case, you need time to yourself. And you also need time with just your husband. So the minute our children were born, I think for the first 2 weeks, maybe a little more, we stayed home, straight that whole time. But after that, we did a date night and we made a pact. My husband and I said, we're making a pact. We're not going to, have children take away from alone time. So we would set up at least one date night every week or weekend. every week. And we still do it to this day. So I think that's like one of the most important things to do.
Yeah, I need to work on that because he gets so busy and like he's like traveling and working all the time, and you know, it does get crazy, and it is a good pack. And then I remember we were like gonna do that, and then like the pandemic happened, and then it was like everything shut down, and I was like, well, so much for that.
Well, that's when you could do like, okay, let's go to the park and do a picnic. And
yeah, we did that. We did that.
Awesome.
But yeah, so anything else that you'd like to touch on in terms of like what the audience should know about help for like postpartum, anything to do with like personal development? I know you are a woman of many facets. You've done a whole bunch in your life. And so, and you have a wealth of knowledge, and I know you're always out there taking care of yourself and such a sweetheart. So what advice do you have for the audience?
Don't go in the sun. People are always asking me, they're like, oh my God, you look like 10 years younger than you are. So my best advice is, well, one, I'm very lucky. My mom, we have great genes in my family. Yeah. But I always kept, because I modeled, I started modeling when I was 13, I think. So because I modeled so much when I was a kid and into my, teens and adults, and even still now I do the over 40 modeling, you always want to cover your face. So I remember as a kid, I would be the girl at the beach with my friends, but I had a towel on top of my face. And so that's why my skin has stayed so nice, because, I always kept my sun out of the face and kept my face out of the sun.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm like, oh my God, I must not got enough sleep last night. But I always kept my face out of the sun. So I would wear big hats and always sunscreen. So that's a really important thing for, keeping young looking, and also just keeping up on stuff. Like I do one big face treatment every year. So just recently, if you saw on my page, I'm on OC Peggy Tanous on Instagram, I was kind of showing my fans the whole Morpheus 8 microneedling system that I just did.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So I think it's really important to like once a year I do something. So last year I did this one called the Opus plasma laser, and that was a really good one. This is Morpheus 8, I think so far has been my favorite. And it's a microneedling radio frequency. And then they also will draw blood and spin your blood and put on the plasma.
Oh yeah. So, I saw that.
Yeah. So it's really important to, I think, just to make you feel good as a woman and to keep your skin looking good and to keep up your youth as long as you can, do your maintenance. Like, I try to do facials monthly or every couple months, and then doing once a year, a big procedure like the Morpheus 8. I do my Botox, haven't had it in like 5 months, so I need it right now, but
no, you don't. You look great.
That kind of stuff. Thank you. And then just, I think also, volunteering. I just started working with Miracle for Kids, and
tell me a little bit more about that foundation.
Oh my gosh. So I've done stuff kind of throughout the years with them, but then you get busy with life, and then you do some other volunteering. And so a girlfriend of mine had invited me to go pack boxes the other night. And that's how I kind of got reacquainted with them. But what they do is they actually have some apartments over by Chalk Hospital that they provide for families that have children that are dying of, illnesses that they can't, when you have a child that's going to pass, you can't work. I mean, you have to be with that child all day, going to the appointments, and some of them they're living in the hospital. So the parents need to be close by. So Miracles for Kids is amazing because they provide the housing and they provide food. And I think it was 2 years ago before COVID, I went and we did Christmas trees in their apartments. Aww. And some of these people had never had a Christmas tree.
Oh my God. So this breaks my heart.
It's things like that. And then, and what I had just done last week is we packed boxes that will go to the kids for St. Patrick's Day. They call them good luck boxes.
Oh my God. That's awesome. I'll link their information down below if anyone wants to help out with that organization and they're in the Orange County area. We always need angels out there helping parents that have sick children and stuff. I couldn't even imagine that's just probably one of the difficultest things that anyone can go through.
Absolutely.
Okay. So at the end of each interview, I ask 4 questions to all my guests. And my first question to you is, who and what inspires you?
I would say my biggest inspiration throughout my life has been my mom. She is amazing. She just turned 90 last year, which is crazy. So for her generation, she was like so ahead of her game because she got married at 30. And, she kept telling my sisters and I, don't get married till 30, which nowadays everyone's getting married and starting families at 40 and, 45. It's normal. But in her generation, that was really rare to not get married until you're 30. And she had me at 38. So and she's just the most amazing woman. I mean, she turned 90 and she was just at the Super Bowl. She was like 40-yard line. Like she's a diehard football, fan. And she had two brothers, grew up with two brothers. So she's just always taught me like independence and how to take care of yourself and just don't rely on people. And she always taught me, don't get involved in the drama of stuff, don't gossip, just be your own person. And and she always tried different things. I remember as a kid, she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but she would kind of dabble in stuff. So she tried to be a travel agent for a while. And then she was doing like these stained glass windows. And she's just a great inspiration because she's just taught me to love people and love the world. And she's been on all continents. She's traveled all over the world. And even a few years, 2 years ago, well, she'll be 91 this year, but on her 89th birthday, she went to Peru and hiked Machu Picchu.
Oh, wow.
So she's like fun. Yeah, I mean, for her age, most people her age are not so mobile. And she's like at the gym 3 days a week. And, she'll come over wearing like leather pants. And my husband's like, oh my God, your mom's dressing so hot.
We need to find out her secrets.
Right? Yeah. So she's my inspiration.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. So the second question is, what is something you wished you knew when you were younger?
To not care about boys so much.
They can mess up the plans, right? They mess up your plans.
They totally mess up the plans. I mean, thankfully I listened to my mom and I didn't get married till I was in my early 30s. Mm-hmm. And so I went to college and I traveled the world and I modeled and I was doing commercials and hosting and acting and all that stuff. And I just feel like, I in retrospect, I would have done that even sooner. Like so for me, I think I'm like, okay, I did okay. I had my first boyfriend my junior year of high school. So that's not bad. But I feel like looking back, I ended up dating him for like 3.5 years and it was like, oh my God, my world. And if I would go back, I would just, tell little Peggy, like, don't get a boyfriend, like just have fun with your friends and figure out who you want to be and what you want to do. And then when you get into your 20s, maybe late 20s or mid 20s, then start worrying about dating and guys. But I feel like girls nowadays get so caught up on their boyfriends and, I did it too. And they kind of become your world. And then you start to lose sight of who you are and what you want.
I totally agree with you. I can say the same thing, always had a boyfriend and in college, I wanted to study abroad, but it's like, oh, I can't do that because of my boyfriend, Yep. So I totally agree with you. And I think that's great advice for the young women out there. Just focus on you, do you, and then the right person will come in for you that will match like your energy and what you're doing. And it shouldn't like hinder your goals and your dreams. But Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Well, lucky you have sons because I have daughters. So it's like with daughters, Micah's like, they're not dating until they're 30.
Okay. So my third question is, what's the essential part of your daily routine?
Sunscreen.
That's a good one.
So, yeah. So, I think just my whole, and working out, I literally, for me, it's not even so much people will make comments like, oh, you're tiny, you don't need to work out. It's not about working out. It's not for my body so much, to look good. It's my mind because Exactly. I have to be outside. I hike a lot. I have to do something physical every day or I get depressed. I get like cranky. So my essentials of my day would be working out and just my whole, cleansing and then putting on sunscreen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I notice the difference when I'm not working out versus working out. When I'm working out, I feel so much like, I feel like I'm a better mom because I feel like I got out that energy. I did something for myself. Like I feel good. Like my mind is clear. And then sometimes when I don't work out, I feel, I don't know, like low energy. I mean, just to sum it up, I can definitely tell the difference. And it is a mental thing. It's not a physical thing for me. It's all mental.
Yep. I agree.
I'm like my own worst enemy in my head. So sometimes it helps me like collect my thoughts, because I'm like, I have racing thoughts all the time, and I'm like beating myself up. And so sometimes it's nice to just work it out.
And you're not alone with that, because I think everybody, and especially nowadays, because we're all on social media so much, it's easy to look at something and go, oh my gosh, this girl looks so great and she has 2 kids. Well, I don't look that great. And it's like, okay, listen, first of all, we all put our best selves on there, and
Exactly.
a lot of times it's totally filtered. So, don't get caught up in that, and just know that, yeah, we all struggle, and we all just need to not be so hard on ourselves.
Exactly. And we're unique for a reason, like, why would we all want to be the same and all look the same? I mean, that's what makes us all special, is the uniqueness and how God made us.
Absolutely.
Okay. So my last question to you is, best advice you've ever received?
Oh my goodness. There's a couple, but I would say one of them would be the advice from my mom, waiting until I was 30 to, until I was at least 30 to get married. And I think only because we go through so many changes from our teens to our 20s, and then when you get 30.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's probably the best advice. But the other best advice would be to always do what you love. Don't do something just for a paycheck.
Yes.
So
That's
I think,
a good one.
yeah, even if it means that you're not going to be where you want to be financially as quick, or, that's okay. Just do something you love, because if you don't love it and you're just doing it for a paycheck, you're going to end up miserable, and it's going to affect your health, and it's just not a good thing.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And sometimes I feel like people are just scared to step out and do the things that they're passionate about because of the paycheck, and having to live up to this like American standard, and, the judgment of other people. And it's, you just got to brush it off your shoulders and like, just do what you're passionate about. I mean, that's kind of like why I'm here doing the podcast. I want to communicate to people. I want to talk to people, and I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, and, not that it's about me, but, I mean, you just got to say, fuck it sometimes, and go for it, because you only have one life to live,
Absolutely. No, I'm so proud of you. I think it's great you're doing this.
No, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Peggy, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Are there any last words that you'd like to say before we say our goodbyes?
Just, you're doing a great job with your boys. I need to come meet them, because
I know we got to get together. I know.
Yeah. So I would just say, I hope that everyone just finds what makes them happy. And, if you want any advice, I'm always here. I answer all my comments and private messages. I try to, also I wanted to do, I do try to do everything healthy, but if somebody gets to the point with postpartum where they need more than just a healthy supplement, by all means, you should try something that your doctor would prescribe. But for me, I was just lucky that the 5-HTP helped. And there's a lot of other, things out there that they can try. So I guess that would just be my last 2 cents, is just, don't judge, and don't talk to your doctor, and don't feel like, you can only do one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great advice. I'll also link down some resources down below in the show notes, as well as Peggy's DVD, and awesome. Also the foundation. So if anyone wants to check those out. And Thank you guys so much. And we will see you in the next one.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Not Your Mama's Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.